What's up, Internet? This is JD coming at you with, I believe it's episode 6 of Deadliest Warrior Review, where I'm reviewing the episodes of Deadliest Warrior. This is kind of like, they did an episode at the end of the season where it's called Black for Blood, where they did a bunch of units, and they came back and see which one was the best of the best, based on all the winners. I'm doing 2 here. I'm doing the ones that they had and see if I agree with it, versus the list that I came up with. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to go and dive into that. The winners that they had in the ancient match. This is basically anything before modern warfare, any kind of firearms, basically, is what it is. So you have the Apache, the Samurai, the Spartan, the Shaolin Monk, and William Wallace. They eliminated the Apache because there's no armor. Makes sense to me. I do think the Apache would probably win in a battle against the Shaolin Monk. And it might win the battle against William Wallace just because of its range. But when you get in close, a handful of the weapons are ineffective. Especially against like chainmail, and the fact that you're going up against someone like in Shaolin Monk who has the twin hooks, which other than the twin hooks, the Shaolin Monk really had no other effective weapon. So I do think the Apache would have beaten the Shaolin Monk, but I do not think they would have beaten William Wallace, just because William Wallace is one shot, one kill, the way their armors are designed. So the Apache, I think Shaolin Monk is the worst of the 5. It's the way I feel. Shaolin Monk is the worst of the 5 because they don't have armor, they have no range, and they have one weapon that was proved to be super effective. It was proved to be super effective, but it wasn't the most effective in the arena. Okay, so the Shaolin Monk is the first one eliminated to me, which leaves the Apache. Basically, okay, if I took the Shaolin Monk and put him against the Spartan, he's not going to beat the Spartan. Can't penetrate the armor, and he has no armor. Can't beat the Samurai, and I don't think the Shaolin Monk beats William Wallace because the best weapon they have is the twin hooks, which is a slashing weapon. It does have spikes on it, so you can't penetrate the armor. You can't slash through the armor, through the chainmail armor. Okay, so Shaolin Monk is the first one eliminated, and I'm doing this on the spot. I'm not. They didn't pre-do this. I just decided to do this midway through last video. Okay, the Apache. Then I would say if you put the Apache against William Wallace, he could win if he kept it at a distance because William Wallace has no long-range weapons. So I do not believe the Apache would win that. He definitely wouldn't beat the Samurai. He definitely wouldn't beat the Spartan. So with that, the Apache is eliminated. So basically, if you're keeping track, there's 5 people. Shaolin Monk came in 5th. Apache's in 4th. Now that leaves you with William Wallace, Samurai, and Spartan. William Wallace, of the 3 of these, William Wallace is the one that I think all 3 of these would leave a good battle. It would be a good battle to watch all 3 of these against each other individually. But I don't think William Wallace beats the Spartan. Can't get past that shield. Even with that dirk, you're not going to get through that shield. Okay, there's not enough energy to get through that shield. Arrows couldn't get through those shields. You're not going to be able to transfer enough energy just by running up with it and trying to push it through that shield. Your Claymore, though it is a good sword, it is not enough to penetrate that shield, and all they're going to do is run through you. You're not going to be able to use that, and they have a spear that can kill you, and your armor is ineffective against them. They can throw a javelin, go through your armor. They can use a short sword, go through your armor. It can stab. I know it's mainly used as a cutting weapon, but it can stab. Okay, it can stab. I promise you, it can stab. It definitely can stab. Okay, and then you have the spear that the Spartan has. It can definitely kill, and then the shield itself can kill. Okay, so there's nothing that the William Wallace can do against that. And the Samurai is one where I'll give him a little bit more credit because he has similar weaponry to the Viking, or similar armor to the Viking. It renders the katana useless. It renders not useless, but it makes it a lot less effective. It renders the naginata a little bit less effective. And the Kanabo can actually be used pretty well against William Wallace because it is blunt force, but again, you're asking the person who's 135 pounds to fling around a 35-pound bat, something a fifth of his weight or fourth of his weight or whatever. So I don't see it as effective for him. So William Wallace might actually have a fight against the Samurai, but again, the Samurai, the William Wallace has no long range. So then you got to factor in William Wallace's weapons. I do think that the Claymore would be effective, the Warhammer would be effective, but I don't think you would get that close. I don't think you would get that close, and William Wallace, the Taj and Dirk might get close enough, but you can't prove to me they can get through the armor. So that one would be a lot closer. William Wallace versus the Samurai would be very close. But I definitely don't see him beating the Spartan. William Wallace versus Samurai wouldn't be bad. The Yumi Bow would get a lot of kills in that battle. So with that being said, I do think William Wallace loses this, and so they have it down to the last two. And this battle was extremely close. This battle was so close it came down to the Spartan versus the Samurai. And I'll just go through the kills. Katana and Short Sword 15 and 10. They basically proved that each other's swords are pretty much irrelevant. The Naginata, in my opinion, is still relevant, and that's where I think they got this wrong. And the Kanabo. The Kanabo was proven to not be relevant. You can't get through the shield with Kanabo. You're flailing all that energy, and as soon as you tire yourself out, the Spartan's going to come out from that shield, and he's going to stab you. So that's why I think that they got this wrong. I believe the Yumi would get probably 200 kills. The Naginata maybe would get 100. If you're lucky, the Kanabo would not get 142 kills. BS. It's BS. They got 100 kills against the Viking with a less effective shield, a lesser shield, and you're giving and they got 142 kills against the Spartan who has a much better and much more effective shield, much stronger shield. BS in my opinion. Kanabo might get 50 if you're lucky. So let me total up what my opinion is on that. So hold on, 50 plus. I think Katana 15 sounds about right. The Naginata, I'll give the Naginata 100, and I think the Yumi Bow gets 200. So that comes out to. I give the Naginata a little bit more than that, 125. But I do not think it gets it doesn't get as many kills as it's portrayed in the show to get. It portrays the battle as being a lot closer, and I think anyone with a shield is going to hunker down until you tire yourself out or expose yourself. So 125 plus 200. So that's 390. Okay, 390. The Spartan. It says the short sword only got 10 kills. I'm gonna have to go off of that. I don't know how accurate that is. So 10 plus. The spear got a lot of kills, 339 kills. I'm going to say that's pretty accurate. The javelin got 16 kills. How it got 16 kills against this person, but it only got... This is so inconsistent here. It got 16 kills. This is why their stuff was so inconsistent. It got 16 kills against the samurai who is armored, who actually has armor. But it only got 9 kills against the ninja, who has no armor? Makes no sense to me. That makes no freaking sense to me. So the spear, we'll give the spear 350. Okay? Let me get my calculator back out. Why did I exit out that? Damn it. Okay, so 1,000 minus 50 plus 15, or minus 15 minus 125 minus 200. So that leaves us with 610. I got to divvy up amongst the Spartans. Okay, so minus 10 for the short sword, minus 350 for the javelin, or for the spear, minus another, let's just say 20 for the javelin, and then 230 for the shield. That sounds about accurate to me. So I have this battle being completely different. You can't tell me that the Naginata is going to get through the shield and the armor and get that many kills when you can't slash, considering it's the same type of weapon a katana is. It makes no freaking sense to me. And the Yumi Bow makes sense to me that it can get that many kills. It's a point weapon, and even if the Spartan's hunkered down behind the shield, you can still hit him in the eyes. And the Kanabo got 100 kills against the Viking, who has a weaker shield that they can destroy, but the Kanabo cannot destroy the shield of the Spartan. And it gets 42 more kills. BS to me. I'll give it 50 just because you do have the option that it could disrupt someone's game. So that's how I see that playing out. Now I'm going to go over to the ones where I picked the ones that I had winning the battle. Okay. This is the one where this. Okay, Shaolin Monk. I'm just gonna go through this again. Apache versus Shaolin Monk. Apache wins, so Apache's out, or the Shaolin Monk's out. Apache versus Wallace. Wallace wins, so the Apache's out. Wallace versus a Viking would be an interesting battle, and I think the Viking would actually come home with the edge here because the Viking has a bigger shield. They have actually a ranged weapon that is a lot more effective, and I believe all their weapons, even though they are blunt force just like the Viking, or the Viking is blunt force just like William Wallace, they're bigger and they have range. So I give them the slight edge on that. Viking versus Spartan. I don't believe the Viking would beat the Spartan. Their spear, the shield is better. The spear's better. The Viking can't penetrate the Spartan's armor. Spartan can penetrate their armor. Both the weapons are slashing weapons. Their shield is much more durable. It would last a longer battle. I will give it that the Viking probably has more blunt force trauma along with her weapons, but that's assuming that he lasts that long in the battle because a Spartan can hunker down behind the shield until he finds a spot. So where I think the battle would be very tough, and I really have to think this one through, is Spartan versus the Knight. Again, you're having the Knight versus the Spartan. Let's look at everything. Long range, you have a javelin, which I don't think would penetrate plated armor or plated steel. Might dent it, might get a little bit in there, but depending on how much velocity it had, and there's no way to gauge that, so I'm gonna have to say no. So their ranged weapon is useless. If the Spartan does not have their shield up, the crossbow can kill the Spartan, I'll give it that, but you don't have the pinpoint accuracy of the Yumi bow to put it between their eyes. You're shooting at an area. In that area, an arrow can't penetrate the Spartan shield, and I'm not 100% sure if it can penetrate armor either. They've never really tested that, so I would have to assume that the crossbow would be a little bit more effective than the javelin, so I'll give them that edge. So I'll give them the edge on that. They get the edge because I don't believe that I think that it's more likely that a crossbow could kill the Spartan just because a fluke of the shield being down too low. You could actually get lucky and get him between the eyes. Than throwing a javelin and penetrating the knight's armor. It's possible, I guess, but you gotta see it to believe it, and I don't believe it. So that's the first thing. So short range weapons, you have the shield, the short sword of the Spartan, the Ziston versus the broadsword of the knight. I think this comes down to a draw here because both are plated armor. Where I will give the Spartan the advantage, though, is he's going to be quicker. And he has proven that the way his shield is designed is he can still hit with the shield and attack and actually hurt somebody. The way the shield is designed on the knight is it's designed like this and tapers down. Those were not used to hit people with. They were used mainly for protection. Okay, so that's where I will give them a slight edge in that regard. Is I do think the sword is a little bit better for the knight, but I do think the actual combination of sword and spear, or sword and the sword and the short sword, the sword and the shield is a better combination for the Spartan than it is for the knight. So I'll give the Spartan the advantage there. So we have 1-1. When it comes to the mid-range weapon, the spear, we are comparing spear to Halliburton. Okay? Comparing spear to Halliburton. If you have the spear on for the Spartan, you also have the shield. That's why I'll give it the slight edge. The Halliburton does have more options because you can come cutting down, you can turn and you can pull back and de-shield the Spartan, sure. But if you're getting that close and you're doing that action, you're gonna get stabbed by the shield. You're gonna get stabbed by the Spartan. So I think I give them the slight edge, and the shield is really what the big helper here is. And so then you have the knight has the Morning Star. It's effective weapon. I do think that is a weapon that can cause blunt force trauma to the Spartan, so I'll give them the edge. So we have anything involving the shield is a benefit because you have two weapons there. We have the sword and the shield, and you have the spear and the shield. So there's two weapons at each. Okay. This would be a tight battle. Confirmation bias. I think I just think the Spartan, the way they fight is just more effective. As it was proven by their test. And I don't exactly trust their test. That the knight couldn't beat a pirate, someone who's unarmored, and they lost significantly in their test. Now, in my test, I had them winning a little bit differently. But if they're going to be beat by a pirate, they're going to be beat by someone who has trained their whole life just in the fighting style that the Spartan is. I think they're going to be a lot more effective. I think the Spartan would be a lot more effective in backing off, picking their spots, not getting within the If you have the halberd and you don't have you're outnumbered with weapons, because your halberd is your defensive and your offensive weapon, where I can still stab with my spear and then still block with my shield. So, confirmation bias, I'm going to say that the Spartan would win. What do you guys think? Do you think the Spartan or the Knight would win? Now, break down whatever I just said, and if you disagree with, you can disagree with me if you want. I am saying that I know it wasn't the test, but I am saying the Knight had the shield. He's going to have the shield in this. To say he doesn't have the shield really renders him at a huge disadvantage in this fight. So, my name's JD. Hope you liked this video. I'm going to do Season 2. I'm probably going to wait a while to do it. But that's it. See ya.